I was taken by surprise, and I felt the need to share my feelings. I was told that my reaction was a little unhealthy after being made a fool of, and I wanted to understand why some women could be so untrustworthy. My wife had shown me she lacked loyalty, even though I had always done what I could to keep her happy. My wife and I got married 6 years ago and everything started well. I worked in finance at my company, handling accounts, and she worked as a nurse. When we met, we rented a nice house and weren't in any significant debt. We managed our money well, so spending wasn't an issue. We communicated well and worked as a team. At night, our physical connection was easy because she was beautiful and always took care of her appearance. Our families got along well, and my wife's brother, Jacob, and I were practically best friends. He worked as a custodian at the hospital where she worked, thanks to their mother, and we always looked out for him. My wife was clearly independent, confident, and knew how to take care of herself. She always demanded respect from both me and Jacob. We didn't have children, but I believed she would have been a great mother and a good role model. The problem, though, was the toxic friends she had around her. The way they talked about each other made me feel like they were rivals, not friends. They would gossip about each other all week, then get together for parties, claiming they were like sisters. They would often get into heated arguments, especially when they were drunk. I couldn't count how many times they had fallen out, only to go on vacation together the following week. I had heard that women secretly compete with each other, so I thought this was just typical behavior. It was annoying, but I accepted the good with the bad. I just thought it was normal for them. The affair happened when her friend Erica was about to get married. It's common for women to have one last wild party before a wedding, so my wife and her friends went out that night to throw Erica a party at a hotel. I knew they'd be out all night, so I didn't bother waiting for her. A few days after the wedding, I was getting ready to shower when I heard my phone ringing in the bedroom. I wasn't sure if that was what I had heard, so I just hopped into the shower. When I came out, I saw I had 6 missed calls, all from the same number. This struck me as odd, so I didn't call back since I didn't recognize the number. Later, while I was in the living room, the number called again. Even though I didn't know who it was, I decided to answer. At first, no one responded, and all I could hear was a woman talking to a man in the background. After calling out hello 3 times, I hung up. They called again and I answered right away. This time the woman spoke to me, and I realized it was one of my wife's friends. I asked her friend, let's call her Jasmine, why she was calling me. She immediately began insulting my wife, saying she had cheated on me at the party. This terrified me, but I denied it, saying Jasmine didn't know what she was talking about. Jasmine insisted that she did know and even had video proof to show me. I asked her what she meant and she told me everything. At Erica's party, they had hired some guys to dance, and my wife had been extra friendly with one of them. This man had crossed a line with her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but at the same time, I knew that this kind of thing wasn't unheard of. After a moment of silence, Jasmine offered to send me the proof. I told her to send it to me, and she said she would after hanging up. About 5 minutes later, she sent me 4 video files. When I watched them, I collapsed on the couch, devastated by what I saw. I immediately called Jasmine back, and she asked if I had received the videos. I could barely speak as I said yes. She continued calling my wife names and apologized for how she had acted. I asked her why she would do this to someone she claimed to be a sister, but she didn't give me a clear answer. She simply said my wife and her friends were hypocrites and fake. I asked how Jasmine got my number, and she reminded me that my wife had called her from my phone to ask for directions to a dinner party at a restaurant. Jasmine said she was done being their friend and mentioned that Erica was doing bad things too. Jasmine told me to talk to my wife about it. I told her my wife was at another friend's house, but I would definitely talk to her. After hanging up, I felt like my world was falling apart. I knew I had to confront my wife, but I didn't know what my life would be like after this. For videos showed my wife with another man. I never trusted these parties, but I never imagined it would happen to me. I wasn't even invited to these events. When my wife got home, I confronted her the moment she walked in. I asked how she was, and she said she was tired but fine. I told her I had never asked how Erica's party went and if she had enjoyed herself. She seemed a little caught off guard, but she said everything was fine. I told her that Jasmine had mentioned she had a great time and even recorded what happened to show me later. My wife looked frightened and asked what I was talking about. I showed her the videos of her and the man being intimate that night. At first, her jaw dropped, then she screamed in shock. She begged me not to leave her and explained that Jasmine was doing this because my wife had replaced her as one of Erica's bridesmaids. She said she and Erica had a big argument about it, and Erica had even uninvited her from the ceremony. When I heard this, I could understand why Jasmine might be upset, but I didn't think it justified her actions. Regardless, I told her I was getting a divorce, and that's exactly what I did. During the divorce, both of our families wanted us to reconcile. I was told that, although what my wife did was wrong, it was supposed to be a special night for Erica, and I wasn't meant to find out. I told them that it should have been for the bride, and even if it wasn't, I couldn't stay with someone who did that. I couldn't believe my wife had done this with that man, especially in public. After the divorce, I still couldn't let the situation go. I reached out to other dancers and asked them about their experiences with women. I also spoke to women who said they didn't do it but knew some who did it for extra money. The dancers I spoke to said they got women all the time, especially brides. One guy told me that when he started it wasn't like that, but the women started wanting it and it became normal. When I told my friends this, they said it wasn't healthy and that I should stop talking to them. I wasn't sure if I should, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't get those videos out of my mind, especially knowing that the guy had been aware that she was being secretly recorded. Now, my ex-wife lives in her own apartment close to her job. I still see her family occasionally, and they still ask me to forgive her, but I can't. I hate to admit it, but Jasmine was right when she said my ex-wife was a fake friend, and apparently her love was fake too. Now she has no regrets. Sorry too. I got engaged 6 months after dating her for 3 years, but just last week I had to call it off. She works for a large financial institution and is usually out of the house until late at night. I never thought anything was wrong because I understood the demands of her job, and this had been her routine throughout our engagement. However, about a month ago, her behavior started to change. She began coming home really late, around midnight, and still waking up at 6:30 for work. This seemed odd because her job title hadn't changed, and she rarely had to stay that late for work in the past. When I did see her at home, she seemed disinterested in talking and was glued to her phone. This wasn't like her. I didn't have solid proof, but I began to feel suspicious. Then, just a week ago, she came home around midnight. I happened to still be awake and casually asked where she had been. Right away I could tell she was drunk. She said her boss had taken her out for a late dinner, but the story didn't add up. I knew something wasn't right. After she went to bed, I checked her phone and found text messages to a coworker, talking about dates and hiding things from me. The next morning we had a huge argument, and she admitted that she had cheated. She said she was bored with our sex life and wanted to be with other men to make things more exciting. I was shocked and deeply hurt. I asked her to leave, took the engagement ring back, and cut ties completely. I'm not sure how much I've lost by waiting this long to sell the ring, but at least there won't be any legal issues going forward. I'm trying to find any positive aspects right now, but her explanation still upsets me. She never really explained why our sex life was boring. I don't understand why it wasn't enough for her, especially when I had studied techniques like the Kama Sutra and Tantra for years. I'm skilled with many techniques, and I know I'm good at it. I just don't know if this other guy was better, but it's sickening to think she threw away our potential marriage for something so childish. I saw on her social media that she's now dating someone new, and I wonder how long it will take before she does the same thing to him. I'm starting to feel a little better, but I'm still processing everything. I feel a bit crazy because I have no one to talk to. If anyone has been cheated on in a similar way, I'd appreciate any advice.